live. Whoa, we're back. We are back.
Guess what we did? We poured some tequila.
Wait, so we did.
Because we did. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.
It's very good. Where is it? Do we have the bottle?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Well, it's up there, but,
Oh, it's up there.
you know, that's wonderful.
It's not a signing unless
Right?
Yeah.
Happy
Kelly's
signatures.
drinking tequila.
So, is everyone back? Others joined. Hi again, everybody. Yes.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. We're back. We're
We're just going to
live.
slowly continue signing as we're chatting. And
What was your way through?
Ooh, we have Brian Drummond.
Oh, well.
Brian?
Hey, Brian guy.
Does he have any pressing questions?
Yes, exactly. Dylan John.
What was it like to work with Brian Drummond
Yeah.
on...
I think everyone's
trash
gonna
talking
everyone's
answer.
gonna have a Brian Drummond story, though, right?
We already had one.
Oh, sure.
Oh, was Brian on when that happened?
Oh, yeah, when you were talking about the ad-libbed
Yeah,
scene
the,
with him and Lee.
Yeah, you and Lee doing the announcers on Norm of the North. Ad-libbing.
Ad-lib
Pretty
scene.
fantastic.
Taking the ball and running. It's what he does.
My story about Brian is he throws amazing Christmas parties.
Oh my gosh.
Mm.
Amazing.
Like, amazing.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, he knows.
like, don't ever bother throwing a Christmas party because you'll never throw one as good as
No, Brian and Laura, they got a thing, and
They've cornered that. They have like a candy station. It's incredible. Candy station
Go
and
see
like a
movies and things
30-foot
out, yeah.
Christmas tree.
it's pretty special.
Yeah, yeah. They know how to throw a party. Anyway, that's my Brian story.
Saffron's back. Hi, Saff.
Thanks, Al.
Why am I not
Hi,
seeing
Melissa.
live here?
And hello, everyone else.
This one's for Annalie. Hi, Annalie.
Oh, there we go.
We're back.
Ooh,
Whoa,
The volume's
we
up
are.
too.
you catch that? You never know what's going to happen because it's just so live. What do we got for questions out here? Maybe anything?
We have one for Kelly.
Well,
What would it be like if Sango met Yukio from Ranma?
Oh, I like to think that they would harass all the men in their lives, and that maybe they'd have like a sparring session with the spatula and the heat apples.
that's appropriate.
One giant novelty weapon against
Yeah.
another.
Exactly, right? I spatulize thee.
Yeah, and then they'd have some okonomiyaki, and
Call it a day.
call it a day.
Yeah,
That sounds like an
that's
awesome
not bad.
day to
That's
me,
pretty good, actually.
Yeah, I think
you know,
that's
I think
what
I
would happen.
learned
I've
what-
thought about this before, and that's
Yeah.
what would happen.
I think I learned what
Hi,
okonomiyaki
Susan.
was from Ranma. From that.
I did too.
Yeah.
I did too. Have you ever eaten it?
Yeah.
It's
Darn
delicious.
right.
It's really
It's
Yes.
really good.
I'm addicted, actually.
Haven't had it in a long time, actually. I mean,
I had a friend make me one once, and it was really good. I was visiting a friend in London, and
What did you get?
he made it at his place, so I don't even remember what was in it.
Mm-hmm.
It was a long time ago. And my husband and I were visiting him in London, and we'd been out to eat the entire time we were there, and we were sort of tired of going out. He's like, I'll make you dinner tonight. And then he made us okonomiyaki, which
Oh, wow.
like isn't just a...
You just
oh,
don't throw that
whatever, I'll
together.
Just, like, I've
yeah.
just got stuff in the fridge to make
No,
okonomiyaki.
that's an intended
It was
dish.
really yummy.
Fantastic.
And I also got to eat it when I was in Japan, too.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well,
I just
that-
remember there being lots of fish flakes on top, and they were like dancing.
Fancy.
Yeah,
Isn't it
yeah,
funny
yeah,
the way
yeah.
they just
So
got
yummy.
So fantastic.
That was really good.
I want to go back to Japan.
Yeah. There must be places here that have some good okonomiyaki. I've never
Oh, I
had
would
it
think
in
so.
There's
town.
in Vancouver's
There are
got
enough
to
Japanese
be. There's
restaurants
so many
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Some good ones.
Yeah, yeah.
You were lucky that way.
We are very lucky that way. Sushi here is fantastic.
That's what I want to have for dinner right now. Okonomiyaki.
I want sushi now.
I know, but we're not.
I'm just hungry.
Next question. What do we got here? I'm trying to keep up with these things. They're just like flying here. Kenny, you got any prime?
Yeah, Christopher's asking, Kelly, did you work on Dragon Ball Z Kai a few years back?
I don't remember. Did I? Did I? It would be on IMDb. If
I'll
I
just say
did.
yes because you know the odds that you didn't would probably
I've
be
been on
low.
several different Dragon Balls,
Yeah.
but I'm always like smaller characters, so I don't really like. I could go in and do one episode of something and then not do something for like 4 months, so
Yeah.
they don't stick out in my mind as much.
gonna-
Zero sticks out because we did a lot of those, but
Mhm.
or sometimes you go in and you're playing like like one line of 4 different
Right, yeah,
characters.
yeah.
You're just someone's just called you in for the day. Those gigs are fun. And someone's like, hey, come in and just do this job.
Yeah.
They are actually, because it's slow, kind of committal. You go and you have fun and
Yeah.
you do your day.
Yeah.
That does not answer your question, so I actually have no idea.
But we're
I
going to say
don't
probable.
know.
Very probable, yes.
Someone there probably remembers,
Mhm.
I imagine.
I'm going to look and see if they've said so.
Annalie, this one's for you. I write the number on the back?
I'm trying
I
to.
did. Good.
I'm still scoping here.
Doesn't look like mine's
I'm gonna trace it to
loading.
you.
So if you guys see any.
Sorry, I'm looking at these as we go by here. There's so many coming down the pipe.
Kelly,
Hello.
I'm trying to remember all the shows you were in, because there was a period there where you were like in every show. It seemed like every show I was directing. Oh, Kelly's there.
Kelly Sheridan.
Hi. Yeah, I did. There
And
was
it was-
like that, like late '90s, early thousands.
Yeah.
That was my anime heyday.
Yeah. There's a lot of it going on for us there.
I like
We're
this
talking-
print. It's a very good print.
Isn't it cute?
Yes.
Yeah. Cute. This one.
Check it out. Isn't it not awesome? I love that print.
When we were talking the other day, we were like, oh yeah, what have we all done together?
Well, weirdly, the one that
Now I
sticks
can't
out for me
remember
is that
any
one
of them.
story of Sankoku, even though it was
Oh,
not
yeah.
a lot going on.
Yes,
It was
yeah.
very talky, but
Yep.
I
I was
remember
on
how
that.
good you were at selling that. Like, making long paragraphs of
Did you do-
information
There's
interesting.
a lot of monologuing.
Did you do Martin DaCosta Mysteries? by chance? Or the,
No.
the Martin Mysteries or everything?
No, I didn't know.
Yeah, that was
Who?
mostly me and Sam Vincent.
Yeah.
Michael directed those, and Dale Wilson was in
That's
that?
right, yeah.
Oh, Dale.
I was Martin DaCosta on that series.
Oh, okay. Again, that was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
But we did a lot of those.
Yes.
That was animated. That was Marathon Media, who likes their animation style, even though it's prelay, is they like that anime
Oh, yeah,
look,
yeah,
like big
yeah.
eyes and big reactions and like
Totally.
the drop of sweat that appears when something
Yes.
happens. It's so, yeah, and all the monsters looked very anime. So even though it was a prelay and a French company,
Oh, okay, wow.
the animation was very Japanese, which was cool.
Yeah, it really became sort of an archetype. I mean, there was what was the Pixar film that they did that they really
yeah.
had a very anime style. Should have brought it up because I can't think of the name.
No,
of it.
I can't either. I know
remember
that you're
watching
totally
it.
right,
Turning
Al.
Red?
You're totally right.
Turning Red?
That's what I'm thinking of, but you're probably right.
That does have a lot of nods
That was
to anime.
up for an Oscar. Yeah.
Because isn't it? It's been a while since I've seen that, but I think the character in the movie, the kid, is like an anime. fan.
Yes.
No? Is that right?
I think you're right.
I think that's right.
I don't know
So
if I've
there's
seen
some
that
like,
one.
yeah, I'm almost certain that's correct.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right.
Maybe.
Turning Red.
Question from Barbie Collector. Kind of answered this earlier, but Barbie Collector's new. How was your experience voicing Barbie over the years?
Oh, incredible. I was really nervous the first time. I thought for sure it was going to be one of those things where they brought me in and then fired me and recast, because it was such a huge role, and they threw a really wide net for casting. So and I didn't go to the callback because I was in a show and we had like opening night or something the day they wanted me to come back in and do the callback.
There's
So
some
I
nice
couldn't-
timing for you.
So I couldn't bail on the show that I was in. So I went in, I auditioned for it. This was back in the day when you went into a studio to audition rather than auditioned at home.
Remember those
instead
days.
of- and they asked me in for a callback, and I said, I can't let down this entire like show that I'm in and just not show up to this thing I've been rehearsing.
Oh, so this part's not important
So
to you then.
I was like, they'll just have to listen to what I did originally, because I don't know what I do differently. I hope that works. And I guess it's good that I didn't go to the callback because I got the job.
Apparently. They're just like, she's so good. She turned down the part. We have to have her.
Maybe
We
that's
have-
like
we have to have her.
playing the
Playing hard to
diva,
get.
inadvertently playing
she's
the
sneezing
diva
us
got me
off.
the job.
Yeah.
It's hard to get work in the acting world like that.
Well played, Kelly.
But
Well,
Barbie's a brand, right? And
Big time.
it's a huge brand, and it's changed over the years. And so I did these movies for about 15 years, and I saw the brand evolve as I was doing the movies. So the very first one we did, the Mattel was very hands-on. It was very tightly controlled, and Barbie couldn't. They kept saying kind, clever, and brave. She has to be kind, clever. Even if she's afraid, you can't act like you're afraid. If she's angry, you can't actually. She's still nice when she's angry. So she's on a really tight leash, and she can only really be this one thing that's
Okay.
very small. circle. It's like, no, you're too angry in that moment. You can have like Barbie's, she's just like slightly inconvenienced, even though, whatever, the Mouse King's stolen her boyfriend or whatever it is. High stakes. And then over the year, and then all the other characters were allowed to be funny, but Barbie couldn't like crack jokes or be self-deprecating. It was like she was this one, she had to be perfect. And that changed like dramatically over the years where, suddenly she could be a little clumsy. Oh, I know what it was. In the Nutcracker, originally she was supposed to be carrying something and sort of tripped and went like, ooh, and caught herself. They're like, we have to take that out. Barbie would never trip. She would never trip. It's like,
she can't be a klutz.
Yeah, to that extent where just, it's a very, like, Barbie's a big deal. And that changed like really dramatically over the years of playing her. And now we see what they've done now with Barbie, where she's just like a regular girl. These other incarnations of Barbie, and she looks different than she used to. And Barbie can, there's Barbies in like wheelchairs. There's like
they've released a whole new line right now where there's
Barbies with different body types.
Barbie like scientists, and they're all actual figures that are poignant in today's society, and they've now done a whole line as far as that for strength characters and for role models and whatnot. I think it's terrific.
Yeah, so I think that's cool. You can look at Barbie at any given time, and you have this little snapshot of like what's going on in the greater
big time. Yeah. In fact, when we worked on He-Man, the gentleman that played He-Man, Cam Clark, is like a massive Barbie collector.
Oh yeah,
He's featured he's featured in magazines and whatnot, and it's pretty amazing what his collection is recognized, to say the least.
Wow.
Here's an interesting question from Inuyasha actor. Hello, thanks for being so with us on this. By the way, how is voice acting different for you guys at home than being in the studio? Now, that's a good question.
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah.
What do you think? I'm signing.
It's so different because you got to also understand that with COVID and things have changed drastically from what we are able to do in our home studios now than what we were allowed to pre-COVID. Since COVID hit, like I've done Marvel projects in here, and that would have been sacrilege before. They're very, very.
So you have done a lot of like production recording.
Yeah, a lot of actual but with that you have to have a studio which is going to pass the test. They'll send a bunch of things. They want to know your equipment list. They want to know some sounds. Do you have Source Connect? A bunch of things which are required on their end. And if you hit that checklist, then you get a shot at maybe recording at home. And so I've been fortunate with that.
Yeah.
It's different. With acting at home, I feel, it's a tough one. If I'm in the studio and I'm working with a full cast and everything, there's a comfort zone that's different from when I'm in here and I'm standing by myself doing it. But there is also a nice comfort of being in your home studio and sitting here and maybe you're drinking a cup of coffee or whatever the case is. So,
not wearing pants.
Yeah, it's definitely a more casual feel when I'm recording at home than when I'm there and I'm in the booth and either we're on a Zoom call with clients in LA or somewhere, whatever the case may be, or behind the glass and watching. There's more of a formality about it.
Yeah.
That you feel you got to make sure you're crossing your T's and dotting your I's, and maybe I don't have to do all of those T crossing and I dotting when I'm at my home studio, if that makes any sense. Kelly?
Yeah, I mean, it's the way things are going and the way it is, so there's really no point fighting it. But I prefer, especially auditioning, auditioning in the studio with the director and whoever else has a say in whether I get the job or not.
Wonderful.
Those days are long gone. They're long gone. Like, we'll never be back in the studio auditioning in person again. Maybe once in a while with a callback or something, but even then, you're probably in your home studio on the line with somebody. And so I really miss that because I think one of my there's a lot of skills I'm missing as an actor, but one of the skills I do have is I can take direction really well. And sometimes that's like the turning point between whether you get a job or someone else. Like if I come into the studio and I have an idea of what I'm going to do, and I go in and they're like, actually, can you change this? And can you do this? Actually, no, now she's British or whatever it is. I can make that adjustment in the room and sort of figure out what the person wants and give it to them. Yeah. And you can't do that when you're just in a vacuum by yourself. You get a breakdown of the character, maybe if you're lucky, and you just take a stab at like, okay,
huge difference having.
I guess I'm going to do this, and hopefully we'll see how that
peeing
goes.
in the wind, as we say. Sometimes we're all peeing in the wind. So
it's having a chance of darts, right? I
Yeah.
totally can see that.
Yeah. Because sometimes the client doesn't know what they want, or sometimes it changes in between writing the character breakdown and when you actually get in the room.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I always said too, I think if there's a director there, it's going through one person. They should have an idea of like, okay, they say that character's supposed to be 12, but just your natural voice. Or, no, a bit younger, go younger.
Yeah.
Or just a choice like that could make or break whether you are submitted.
Yeah. Or they have context, like, we get these sides, you get like a little monologue or something of what your character is supposed to say, but there might be things that you don't realize that are happening in the greater world of the show or that episode where a director can go, oh, actually, she's making fun of this guy because XYZ. So, so I miss it. But it is kind of nice being in your home, in your jammies.
There's pros and cons for sure. But you hit a
Sauntering
big
into your
note.
booth and being like, oh, okay.
Totally.
Yeah.
No, but I'd say that the big note there is not being separated from the client and having what we produce at home, we may or may not be on track with it, right? When you're working with the client, they will put you in or on course pretty quick, and that makes all the difference as far as getting closer to booking a role.
Yeah.
So interesting. Yeah, good question.
When it comes to sessions, there are pros and cons. Like, it's fun being in the room with everybody, but it's also really nice being at home in your jammies and working.
Cozy.
Like, actually being able to run a session from home. Like,
It's
wow,
pretty amazing. Yes.
This is awesome. Yeah.
Kelly, have you done any live action roles?
Film and TV, not since I was a kid, like maybe 13 or 14. I did a couple of things. I don't really like it. It's
Different monster, right?
Yeah, very different.
Very different, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a theater person and I'm a voiceover person because I like showing up and working. I like showing up and playing and working and interacting with people. And film sets are a lot of like waiting. They're a lot of waiting for this whole other machine to happen while people light a thing and move a thing and
setups
but when you're on, it's high pressure because those seconds
Finite
that are
time.
ticking away cost
Yes.
a lot of money.
Yeah.
So you've got to be really on your game. So it's like a lot of hot and cold. You're sitting kind of waiting and you're in costumes. You can't really do anything. You can't.
Well said.
And you
Yeah.
started when you were young, so a teenager, you're missing school if you're on set.
Yeah.
Whereas if you come in for there's half a day of voice recording maybe.
Yeah,
Or-
and they know it's going to take. It's not going to be longer than 4
Yeah.
hours. You're going to be done. I'm going to make it back for math class. Or
You're not gonna get rained on.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Strong point.
You know.
So I don't know. I really didn't like as a young teenager, the roles were fun because I was playing even younger than a teenager. So the roles were still interesting. And then when I got to be an older teenager, the roles, especially for like young women, really changed. And I was like, I don't want to play like the stupid girl at the part. Like, it's just the roles are boring.
Right.
And, it's all about how you look and all the rest of it. So I've never really been like, it's really never been a part of my career. But I always say maybe I'll go back and do film and TV when I'm like a lot older and the roles get interesting again and I'm more willing to just like sit in a trailer all day and like hang out and read a book. And that sounds fine. And you could just be the eccentric old lady where people are like, okay, we'll just like wheel her onto set. That's when the roles get interesting again.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you look like anymore. So
It's true.
yeah. By the way, Lauren, this one's for you.
Ding, ding, ding,
Just
ding, ding,
slowly
ding.
digging through my little pile trying to find all the prints here.
Brian, can you do Arashi from Mega Man NT Warrior?
Trying to remember Arashi's voice now. Yeah, that was another.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I'm trying to remember. Arashi's voice was Arashi. He was somewhere in here, if I recall. But I may be wrong. I need to. You know what? I'm going to have to brush up on that one because that was a long time ago. Searchman was definitely my priority. But Arashi, yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. And quiz me on our next anime time machine. Quiz me on that very question, and I will come back with a voice print for you because I need
do
to
some
review that one.
research.
It's just he's lost in many of them. I totally remember Searchman, but Arashi. Thank you for bringing that up because we don't want to push him under the carpet. It was a darn fun character. So yes, quiz me again on our next machine. I'll have that voice for you. I appreciate it.
I thought I could cheat and find it, but it's full episode.
I know, right? It's like, oh no, I'll go there. There are, yeah.
Nope, can't help you. Sorry.
A question for Kelly. Could you do a shout out to the Mystique Sonia?
Oh,
By the
that
way,
was
I'm
a
currently
fun
watching
show.
Hero 108 here in Tanzania.
Oh, cool. is it on? Is it being broadcast?
Is it?
Right in, because I'm curious.
You got a DVD going on there, or is that actually being streamed? Let us know.
Brian Drummond was on Hero 108, as was Andrew Francis, as was Adrian Petru. Oh my gosh. I was like the one girl on the whole show. That's the thing when you're a female voice actor. You're always like, especially in the 90s and like early 2000s, you're like the girl on the show.
Right.
Mystique Sonia was a character who like, so they were all, that was another show that was like heavily anime based. It was based on a video game. So all the characters were like really over the top and zany. Half of it never made sense to me, but it was really fun. And that character, her weapon was her tongue. She had this tongue that would like whip out like a whiplash, and she could like hit people with it. So I did a lot of like "Geblah! Hey, blah!" She'd eat these little buns, and she could spit out these little seeds. And she had this pet that like lived on her head and kind of looked like a hat, and it was sort of like an octopus cat. I don't even know what it was. And that would fight with her, and it would like pick her up, like extend its legs and like move her around while she was stuck to. It was
That's
bonkers.
amazing.
That's
That's
fantastic.
Anyways,
Wow.
that's Mystic Sonia for you. That was a weird show. That was a really funny show. And Eric Bauza was on that show, who went on to become the voice of Bugs Bunny, among other.
He's a wonderful
he's
man.
like-
Yeah. Hello,
he's
Eric.
an icon. He's an icon.
I think I met him once. Worked with him once.
The best.
Mr. Bowser.
Yeah.
Started as an animator, Canadian kid, and then went on to become
And
one
then
of
off to LA he went.
the most prestigious voice actors of our time.
So for Kelly, when voicing Nana, is there any characters that you related to the most?
In Nana?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I don't really feel necessarily like I have to relate to the characters I'm playing, and that I don't feel like I've had to have like the same life experience, because how do you have the same life experience as a creature who like beats people up with her tongue and spits seeds in them?
Yeah. Can't go method on that one.
Yeah. No. But I guess like there are to get philosophical about it, there are like certain universal human conditions that everyone experiences that you can always like tap into when you're playing a character. So like everyone knows what it's like to have unrequited love, or everyone knows what it's like to be really upset by being misunderstood or whatever. And then you just kind of like
Tap into that.
you just tap into that and then channel it into whatever the thing is that you're doing. So
Yeah. And
I've
beat people
never-
up with your tongue.
and beat people up with your tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've never personally fought demons with a giant boomerang, but I have a little brother who I care about, and I have like a cat who had a little star on her forehead, who's like my little buddy back in the day. So I can like relate to
Totally.
that. I
Yeah.
can relate to like caring about your brother and wanting to protect your brother, or like having a group of friends that you kind of like bicker, but you all love each other and your family and you get along. Like that's just universal, right?
That's pretty amazing.
Oh.
It's a good analogy. I like it.
Yeah.
Doc Pony Jones is asking, does your voice sound the same recorded as you hear your voice?
Oh, interesting.
Any futzing there? I don't think so.
No, like in your head, maybe?
In
like
your
what?
head.
Yeah.
People are always like, oh, my voice sounds gross when I hear
Yeah.
it recorded.
Like mine.
Right.
But I'm not a voice actor, so it's okay.
What is it like for you when you hear your voice?
Sometimes I'm annoyed by myself, and it depends. It's weird because my voice changes between when my morning voice and my midday voice, where it's higher range. I'm very baritone in the morning.
Got to book you at the right time.
Yeah.
The right
Well, it
character.
certainly helps if we're doing something that's got a lot of bass
Yeah.
and big, and then if you catch me at 9 a.m., you'll get what you want. And it's funny because I've been kind of typecast into doing a lot of those big roles, but I mean, I wouldn't say recently, but anyway, I did a demo, which was a live action one, which kind of helped break the typecast a bit, because I do a lot of younger voices, hero voices, all those kind of things, which never gets recognized because I usually don't get, everyone usually anticipates me into the darker villainous roles, right? Which is great to a certain point, but I'd like to break that mold a bit, because
Yeah. You got range, baby.
I got some range.
But I was quite the same thing, but it's interesting that of your two brothers,
Yeah.
Mike likes to record with the headphones quite loud. He's known for it.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like he just hears himself
Yeah.
huge. Whereas Paul likes them pretty much off. Like wants the volume so low. And he says, yeah, he hates hearing his own voice.
Yeah.
And yet, you know, millions think otherwise.
It's
but,
weird.
You know.
I know. It's funny how that goes.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I like a good level of, I don't like him too loud because if I've got a shouty moment, I'm going to blow my ears out. I just like having a nice level in there so I can hear the mic dynamics. And it's weird because there are some clients that nowadays won't allow you to wear headphones during the
They
session.
really don't let you.
When I did Dino Trucks, I couldn't wear headphones.
And what was the
Well, that
reasoning?
director's just very particular about
Yeah.
like she just doesn't. She
No,
doesn't want
not
you to.
allowed. And I
Yeah.
never
What
got a
you're
straight
saying
answer, to be honest.
No.
Why? Because I
Yeah,
was just
well,
like,
I've
you know
heard-
what? I use these because I'm using mic dynamics when I'm going in, and I can hear if I'm
That's
going to get
the
too hot,
thing.
or there's so much that I need as a voice actor. I use my headphones, and there's I think 2 or 3 shows I've worked on now where it's like, nope, no cans allowed. And it's like,
Okay,
what do you mean?
It's funny as a director.
It's going to make it a lot on the engineer.
I'm curious because I personally, and I'm not saying it's the right or wrong way, but I think it's good to hear yourself because you're hearing your voice on the mic. When you can work it, you pop a P or just the proximity.
Big time.
And I do understand that if you know, if the headphones are really loud, that may affect your performance. Or quiet, you know, it can affect how loud you think you are as opposed to what you're actually doing. But only if you're really inexperienced. I think if you know
100%.
what you're doing, you can work with it.
Yes.
Yeah. I like
so I
the
don't know.
one on
I don't
one
know.
off. I like the one on one off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like hearing
yeah.
myself
Well,
in
if
the room
I'm,
and I like.
especially if I'm interacting with someone that's close on the hand, I always, whoever, if it's someone on my left, I'll take this one off, and vice versa, right? But yeah, as long as I have one monitor, so I can just get an idea of what I'm doing with my mic dynamics, it makes all the difference. And
Yeah.
I'm shocked by not, or at least having that taken away.
There is a phenomenon, though, that people experience when they hear their voice recorded, because how you hear your voice in your own head when it's resonating in your head is
Yeah.
different than how people in a room hear your voice.
Yeah.
Or
Oh,
people
yeah, yeah.
on a recording hear your voice.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you find this. I listen to my voice all day long. Like, I listen to myself all the time. I'm in a booth. I'm more listening to myself recorded than I am, like, in my,
In your
like,
own-
talking in my own
right.
head.
Yeah.
And so I think my brain eventually has just made an adjustment where how I sound in a room is kind of how I sound on a microphone. Like my brain just
Yeah.
kind of like has mashed those two together. But I think that's just a result of like listening to myself.
Yeah.
But when you listen to yourself back, are you like, oh, I don't sound like that at all. That's weird.
No, I'm usually, as long as I can
You're used
have,
to
if I can hear myself on mic like that, I'm pretty certain I'll know what the playback will be. It's
Yeah.
more so in the dark when I don't have my cans on.
Yeah.
Just I need my cans.
That is a trend though.
Yeah.
Like not wearing headphones. And I can see both sides of it. Like a lot of people say,
Yeah, sort of can too.
well, you're monitoring yourself, you're directing yourself when you're performing if you're wearing headphones, so you're not like fully in the moment or whatever. I've taken to taking them off when I record commercial auditions.
Oh,
now, because
interesting.
the trend for commercials is hyper realism, super
Total hyper,
natural,
yeah.
like no announcer, no performee. They want like just a person talking about Pampers or
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
it is. And so, yeah, I've had people recommend that I just take the headphones off for those natural leads because the least little bit of like directing yourself or like as soon as you feel like you're performing it, it's not the sound that they're
Yeah.
looking for. But that's very different than animation. So
Well, when I think about it, you know, because I'm doing so much dubbing, well, you need to hear the lines before and after. So
yeah, you need to hear the beat. You need to
you
wear
hear
headphones.
beats. You
in
kind of,
ADR.
yeah, you do.
Yeah, totally.
Agreed.
It's a different, maybe
Agreed.
different animal for the
Agreed.
relay world.
I'm using up your beautiful pasta. I feel like it's running out of juice.
Oh no, these things. Yeah, don't worry about it. Get
Oh,
it-
with
get it
pastas, you
used.
like press down and then more ink will come.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a little. Does shaking it do a thing, or is that?
It,
Like
it
just-
keeps the paint nice and tight. But like Kenny said, if you want to re-involve
Okay.
the tip, just give it a
Alright.
little press.
I'm going in for a little something here.
Well, that's wonderful.
Kelly,
You can make us all join.
I'm good, thank you.
Brian, how are you?
I'll just do a rear.
I need to
you rinse
remember.
out first, or-
No, I'll just see what happens. Sure.
I need to remember how to spell my name.
Get us your driver's license.
Awesome perspective. Thanks. Kelly nailed the myth I was wondering.
Here you go, sir.
Oh, interesting.
You're not driving.
I know. No.
Do you guys have a preference between prelay and dubbing?
Oh,
Well, I'll just. Well, prelay. Come on. Where all the money's at, you know.
You do make more money with pre-lay.
It's actually no. I'm playing with that. It depends on the show that we're working on. Really, I've had some shows like I always refer to Trouble Chocolate because it's such a bizarre, wonderful character to play in that show, Professor Big Bang, and yeah, really, if you're working on something that's a lot of fun, that's the show you're enjoying at the time, whether it's pre-lay or ADR. Doesn't come into play. Outside of that, what sometimes comes into play is that you're making a lot more money when you're doing pre-lay. So that's something to consider.
I find as a director, they're very different. Pre-lay, it's fun because even as a director, you kind of get the time crunch is so huge. So you're really like I find you get in it, the adrenaline gets going, and you're sort of having to you're so on having to pay attention to every little thing and take notes and crap. You got to go back, grab that line, good. Let's keep that take, but let's grab that line from that take and
completely
this kind of thing. And you're so focused and having to sort of not necessarily get keyed up, but there's a certain amount of that it's an adrenaline rush. Then you sort of afterward there's totally the come down.
Yeah, I'm
Afterward.
exhausted.
Whereas ADR
you got over the hump.
But then there's something I enjoy about ADR is that gradual. It's like building a mosaic. Like you're recording
all those pieces.
Your character, you come in and you record your lines, and then you come in the next day and you got to record the other half of that conversation, and you've got to make sure that these come together. But you're not hearing it, so you've got to extrapolate or make sure that it's going to work when the third pieces and fourth pieces come in it.
Yeah.
That's kind of fun too. As
Totally.
a director, it's fun.
It's a level of creation that's happening.
I think that's something I've learned to get to appreciate more over the years is that sort of mosaic thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's
making sure it comes
good
together in the
metaphor
end.
to describe it.
Because it could easily happen. You get a read from this person, the next person comes in maybe the next week, and you go, oh crap,
That doesn't fit.
or just the performance is not right, or the intonation, what about you? No, what about you? Or and they, oh crap, now
The
that line
slightest
before
thing, right?
doesn't make
Like-
sense. It's a bit of a chess game. And that might be a
Completely,
little
total
pretentious
chess
to say.
game. Yeah, just like getting the right.
You've got to plan ahead.
Yeah.
And
For those of you who don't know, when we record ADR, so when we're dubbing something, actors come in individually. So we'll say there's 4 episodes of something. We come in, we record all of our lines for those 4 episodes, and then someone else comes in, they record all of their lines for those 4 episodes, and it's the director's job to kind of make sure everything, like Carl's talking about, make sure everything fits together. But when we record a pre-lay, we all come in the room at the same time. You have usually a 4-hour chunk of time. You can't go over those 4 hours, and you record the whole one episode, usually one, all in one go. And it's like a radio play where you're recording each scene as you come, and you're doing it like a little radio play. You go back and pick up things as you need, but it's a really different way of
Super
recording.
different experience
Totally
for the
different.
actors, for sure.
Yeah, and I've actually found since COVID, even the pre-lay is now feels like ADR because during COVID, and only now
So
recently
true.
we're getting
So
back in
true.
the room together, but people would come in one at a time because you couldn't be in a studio together.
Yeah.
You can be in an airless,
Yeah.
tight,
Yeah.
tiny room
Yeah.
with other people. So yeah, even then it would be like, oh yeah, they're gonna have to piece all of this together like they do with ADR because I'm just coming in and just doing my lines. I have no
kidding.
idea what the other person did, and I have no picture. There's no animation to even go off of. So
Depending
I'm
where
just
you're
kinda-
placed on the call sheet, is,
Right,
what
Yeah.
your advantage may be to have interactive dialogue with your scene. Sometimes, well, most of the times you go in, you'll be just doing your own solo. But sometimes, if someone that you're working with within that scene has come in before you, you have the luxury of them playing the interactive dialogue with you to match the energy.
Yeah, being booked last is handy in that case. 'Cause they're
Yes.
like, oh, we'll just play you what so-and-so did.
So they would.
Give you
I
an
was going to
idea.
ask if they would go to the trouble to play back those other recordings.
Yeah, often. Wouldn't you say?
Well,
That's good. That makes
if
sense.
required, a lot of
Yeah.
the times it's not required. But in
Yeah.
some emotional scenes or some things where there's going to be a matched emotion or level of fury for the fight, I find often I get played if that track is available from the character coming in before me, then it's an advantage I find to have that to be able to match the scene.
Well,
Yeah.
ADR for sure. If you're the first person in, you have nobody else to play off. I mean,
Yeah.
you're
You're
going
gonna
to
set
the
the
original.
bar.
You're
Yeah.
going to hear the original and see the picture. So you're
And I've had times where I've gone in and the vocal thing was there before, and I'm just like, well, I'm really glad I heard that because I was going to go far bigger. It would just sound really right.
Yeah.
Or vice
Doing
versa,
your
right?
thing.
I need to bump this up because whoever came in, the talent beforehand, that's where the bar was set. So you got to make that happen.
I mean, if you're the last person in for an ADR, everything else is in place, and you're just putting in the last few pieces. You can hear all the other lines.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Jimmy,
It's raining here in Vancouver, and my cat is outside. He's meowing at the door, so it's okay with everyone. You guys mind if I go and let Jimmy in?
Oh, you go.
No,
ahead.
let's
okay to
leave
let
your
Jimmy
cat
in?
out in the rain, crying.
We're gonna let Jimmy in. Okay.
Let's let Jimmy in. Maybe he'll come visit.
Maybe.
You might get. He likes Kelly a lot.
He's a good. Well, I'm a cat person.
Right.
He's a good guy. Do you still have dogs? You have dogs?
One dog now.
One
yeah.
dog.
Lost the old guy.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, he lived quite a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got the young guy.
Hi, Jimmy.
He's wet.
You're soggy.
My cat has a water fetish. He likes drinking water a ton, and what he will do is go out and stand in the rain to get his coat wet so he can come back in and lick the water off himself.
Wow.
Jimmy.
That's Jim.
They're full of idiosyncrasies.
Yeah,
aren't they?
she's
cats.
So well behaved.
I pick him up and show him, but he's so.
he'll dry himself off by licking himself dry in a second, but you
Whoa.
probably yeah.
Your computer went to a different.
What a kid.
Oh no, it didn't.
There we go.
Oh,
Question for all of you.
Okay.
Is there any anime that you watched before you got into dubbing that you really liked?
I'm trying to remember the there was some really old stuff that was done in the 70s and 80s that I really
Yeah.
liked.
Well, I mentioned I think on another one of these anime time machines. As a kid, I watched one, and I have a dim recollection, so I was probably like 5 or 6. Probably called Sword of the Sun. That was the English
Yeah,
one.
it's Sword of the Sun.
You know
I totally remember that. That's
Yeah, I remember seeing that, and it was a movie.
That's
I remember,
that's an old. Where was that?
I remember loving it. That was my first exposure to anime.
I'm trying to remember that series. It was
Was there a series? I remember a movie.
There's a few series that I was into that really got me started. Let me stew on that because I can remember that's going way back. But yes, big time. Hi, Jim.
When I was a kid, though, there wasn't as much anime.
Astro Boy. I guess
Astro
that
Boy,
was
yeah.
like OG
Yeah.
Classic.
way back in the day.
Yeah.
I didn't really. It wasn't as accessible.
There wasn't as
then
much
either.
of it being shown.
Yeah.
We ended up
But I mean,
doing a
I
lot
also,
of it.
yeah, I was a kid when I started, so I guess I didn't have a lot of
Yeah,
runway
but there
before
you
then. to
It's a very good
experience it.
point.
Jimmy, what do you think? You're going to be a voice
Got a phone
actor? You
somewhere
have a
in his
beautiful
bun. That's you.
voice.
Oh, that's never mind. Turn that off.
Would you all tune in to watch the Jimmy show? If there was a Jimmy.
Check out Jim. He likes to get
Soggy
in on the
Jim
action, and he's taking a shining to Kelly, as you probably
He
well
knows a sucker when he sees one.
I will say, if it were my dog, he would not come to the room as gracefully. He'd be like bouncing all over.
Climbing on the table.
Hey, there's people here. You and you and you.
Buddies! All my buddies!
Kelly, are you aware that that Lolly Rock is getting a 3rd season?
Really? I was not aware of that.
Don't you love it when you find out this way?
Yeah, are you sure?
Yeah, she wants to, before she goes
Don't
and
go
buys new
messing.
shoes.
Is this April Fool's late joke or?
Yeah, right.
That was another character I enjoyed playing. Later in my career, I've been able to play a lot more villains and a lot more character roles. Like the big chunk of the first 15 or so years of my career was always the ingenue, always like the one girl in the group, always the like sassy, smart, the girl that had to be everything because there was only one female character. And then later in life, I got to play other characters. So Praxina on Lolly Rock was a really fun character to play because she was just mean as stink. Like there's nothing redeeming about her. She's just evil, just dyed in the wool bad guy.
Isn't it funny sometimes getting those kind of characters?
I
you're just like,
love playing villains.
Yeah.
I would say I prefer playing villains because
Me too.
they're fun. They always have an agenda.
Yeah.
There's always something
Yeah.
to
crazy
play.
arcs to them. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're allowed to be really campy and over the top a lot of
Yeah,
the
or
time. They're
maniacal.
fun.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
villains are fun.
Big time.
So I hope that's true. I won't hold my breath.
Thanks, Kenny.
That was another Marathon Media show. French company that likes kind of like that anime style of animation.
Yeah.
How about a Karl question?
Ooh.
Do you remember directing The Girl Who Leapt Through Time?
Yeah.
The performance by Emily Hurst and Andrew Francis really blew me away.
Yeah,
Can you
I mean-
briefly talk about them?
Well, I remember that being I really liked that project. That was fun. And Emily, I think that was her very first project ever.
Yeah.
So she was
wow, that's cool.
Brand spanking new.
Yeah. I had a very small part of that, and I can't remember what it was.
I just remember I remember that the film itself was just beautiful.
Beautiful animation.
It's just
Absolutely
gorgeous
stunning.
to watch. That
Yeah.
space, that
Yeah.
the Bee Gees, the ethereal feeling.
Incredible.
The one
they had
that-
ambience in there.
Yeah.
It was just incredible.
And just a really interesting storyline too.
Yeah.
But it's funny. The one thing I remember about that the most is there was and it's been years since I've seen this, so you might remember. This might be fresher for some of you. But there was a scene where the girl, she's in the bathtub, and she's holding her head under the water, holding her breath, and then she has to come up and do that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And we had the girl they take a mouthful of water, just go,
Spit it
just
all.
do it, just go for it. Just don't hit the mic, send it off, and it ended up being
Avoid the
really
$4,000 microphone. But
good. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow. Like just on the floor?
Yeah,
Well, I guess it's just water.
it's with the
And-
one
and a bit
clean
of
spot.
spit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you're like, watch your step. Squish, squish.
Yeah, that was I remember weirdly from that movie. I remember is the scenes of the boys playing basketball, and it was just so background but it was just beautiful. Just
fantastic.
it was just so
yeah.
real, just so languorous is the word. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well said. Yeah.
It was interesting. I think.
No, that was a beautiful piece of anime. Every once in a while, when something like that comes along, you're like, wow, you just want to get a piece of it,
Yeah, yeah,
I always find the background sound in anime really incredible.
Yeah.
That's something that
Agreed. Yeah.
just evoked it, like a kids playing on a playground, or like the background of an office or something. It's like, wow, this sounds real. This sounds like a
Yeah.
real place.
For me, I find there's certain. I tend to remember shows more fondly for the people that were in it than for the prestige of the project itself.
I
Yeah.
understand that.
Like
makes sense.
sometimes the higher prestige projects are a pain in the ass. For me,
I totally,
I'm not gonna name any names,
We all
but-
know
I'm
how
not gonna name names.
either clients can be. And,
Yeah,
and,
well, yeah, or
it's
just-
their
yeah.
baby. Yeah, it can be.
but so for me, it's more the people. But I think of the shows like that one really stands out. That it just had such a beautiful feel to it. I was really happy to be able to work on
It's,
that.
yeah, when you have that feeling, it's like,
Yeah.
I am so happy to be part of this.
Well,
You
and
know,
when we
like
did
that's-
Future Boy Conan a few years ago.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Wow,
I remember
that was just.
one.
I love that era and that feel and just that prestige of that. Working on something that Miyazaki had,
Yeah.
done a long time ago.
That one was Hush Hush too, because it was
Yeah, I know, right?
Miyazaki. I remember that. Being like, oh,
Yeah.
can't tell anybody.
There's people saying the chat is frozen. Is there some? Is everyone hearing us, or is this? Is there something going on?
Still showing live online.
I'm just seeing live too. I think we're. Sorry, David, if that's not working right.
In
Give your phone a tap.
Saffron
Just like-
says, "Oh no," but that means he's
Saff-
hearing it.
Saf, are we okay?
And Saff, you're still here.
Saffron,
in your free time, do you guys watch anime?
absolutely.
What do you watch?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Well, I have a son right now, so we're getting through Naruto. We're getting through.
Oh, nice.
I mean, there's a bunch of stuff. I could go on forever because I'm trying to get him schooled in some of the classics.
Yeah.
Weed out some of the junk, if you want to call it. But
Develop his palate.
yeah,
His anime
yeah.
palette?
There's so many. There's so many I want to show, but I can't because the age factor.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
was
anime,
nice.
as we all know, can have some pretty inappropriate moments.
That was nice when they get to a certain age. Like, well, my kids are
Yes,
pushing
you want to open the
20 now.
door.
There was
But-
I remember the period a few years ago where my son was sort of he found out about Death Note. Oh, you want to watch? Can we check out Death Note? So we watched a whole bunch of that.
Yeah. It's funny because I think that's the way it's going to go. Is that we'll go through stages.
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
What is going to happen, and I am so looking forward because there's just. I feel like this mentor teacher that can be like, oh, discover this, discover that.
Yeah, yeah.
He's got so much to discover, so I am tickled by the thought of making that happen.
Oh yeah.
You can mold his taste.
Kind of, but he's molding mine a bit too because he's pulls out stuff like he's 8, and he's pulling out stuff now where it's like, wow, great choice, buddy. This is really good.
Cool.
So I'm pretty happy with his flavors.
Yeah.
It's good taste. So yeah, it's always an adventure.
Can I tell you a story? Many years ago, for whatever reason, my family was coming to meet me at work, and we were going to do something downtown. So I think they came in, and my son, I don't know how old he was at the time, younger, yeah, and he sort of sat and watched a little bit, and then he sort of asked after, so is it hard to is it hard to get into directing? And I thought, wow, I was like, oh,
Wow.
he's actually,
It's interesting.
What
He's
an
interesting.
interesting question to us all.
yeah, he says, like, is it hard to get into what you do? And so I can't remember what I answered. Because, yeah, it looks so easy. Like, Anybody,
Okay,
it was,
I'm glad we're on this question.
Wow,
'cause
this is like the easiest job ever. Like, I want to do that. That's like anybody.
I'm glad we're on this because I'd like to ask you, where did it start? Like, what got you into directing? What was the tick that just like? Because I know you used to engineer.
Well, that's what it was. It was.
Was it?
I was
you were-
engineering.
But did you have any
Recording.
intent when you came into the studio? Were you just like, I'm going to do the sound gig?
No, it honestly, what it
There
was.
was no intent to become a director, or was that no future outlook, or did
Not
you ever feel
really?
that-
It was filling in. It was director at the time would be like, "Oh, I need to go talk to the boss. Can you just cover this person?"
Because you had done your job so well, they knew that if anyone could possibly fill these shoes.
I'm sure I'll go with that.
That's cool.
We'll take that.
I always wonder that. It's like,
But it was literally
was
filling
it an
in.
intent or was it a
No, it was
interesting?
filling in a bit here and then like 10 minutes here,
Do you miss being on the board?
an hour here,
Can you still play the board?
a
Like,
day here.
if you were to be thrown down there, would you be
No,
No.
because that was before Pro Tools. That was when we used
What did you-
the DAR, the digital audio.
When I say you were
research.
DAT and all that, right?
The British, it was a British standalone
Tape.
unit. No, it wasn't tape. It was a digital record unit, but
Okay.
it was proprietary. So it was an awesome machine. Like I loved it. It was you could throw it across the room and it would still work. It was built like to submarine specs.
Yeah.
It did have brass knobs on it. Like you,
Cool.
it was very cool, but it was fairly limited compared to Pro Tools. So
Yeah.
I stopped recording before Pro Tools was a thing. So I mean, I got the concept, but I couldn't jump in and do
Interesting.
it.
No, you watch
couldn't-
engineers do
I
their
couldn't
thing
even
now,
pretend.
and it's
You're on the
like, they're
cusp of
so
transition.
fast.
Yeah, now I just backseat engineer.
Right.
I totally do.
Yeah.
I'll look around. Yeah, can you
Massage
cut there?
that?
Yeah, no, that lump there. After that lump, yeah, try that. And if you pull out that breath there, I'm a terrible backseat
That's fantastic.
editor.
You want to take this chair? Yeah.
Oh, it makes sense. There's a lot of people who started in broadcast who went on to, like back in the day, to do voiceover because it's like,
yeah.
well, this isn't a job that really exists yet. So, okay, you're a radio guy.
Yeah.
Come and do
You got a cool
He-Man or
voice.
whatever.
Well,
Yeah,
one
makes
thing
sense.
I
There are a
can
lot of
s-
engineers that went on, not a lot, but a few engineers that went on to become
Yeah,
voice directors.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
yeah, or actors, or producers.
James, right?
Yeah, James was an engineer when I first met James Corbell when I first met him.
Wow. Okay. Where are we at here on
Yeah,
the question front? I've been neglecting it. I'm sorry, folks,
Yeah.
if we're missing some questions here, but
Kelly, do you have any funny voice booth moments from Inuyasha or between the stars, starcasts?
Well, that's the thing. I'm always in there by myself. So, oh boy, that's hard to say. There are lots of things that we probably can't talk. Like, there's lots
Yeah.
of like off-color jokes that get
Yeah.
made and that kind of stuff. Because we have a lot of fun.
Yeah,
when
oh,
we're
yeah.
recording. It's a good time.
We kind of make a point of it.
I can't really remember anything specific.
Yeah, I wish I could help you.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there
I don't
has
know.
been over the years.
I also
just-
have the worst memory. It's,
well, that's the thing. You get so there's just such a mass of everything that you're getting fed in your career on a daily
Yeah.
basis. It's just like keeping that all.
Marika Hendricks and I talk about that. I think part of it is a survival mechanism as an actor, where like I'll go and audition for something or even do a job, and say I audition for something. My agent says a month later, "Oh, you booked that thing," and I'll be like, "Great, what thing?" Or I'll have to go back in my email and look because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
forget about it the second it's done. Because otherwise, I mean,
But you know what
drive
else? I
yourself
think what
bonkers.
we do as actors is we breathe it and we leave it.
You kind of have to,
You
right?
have
Right,
to,
you
'cause
get
then
in
you're going
there,
on to
you
do
put your
another
life
thing right
into it,
after
and then you
that,
get out.
so-
Later
Remember in
that
the earlier
afternoon,
days,
you-
waiting for that phone to ring? It was like, I did such a good audition. Oh, I
Yeah.
hope that, and
Yeah.
I
Or,
remember.
or the other way. What they cast me for that?
Then there's that too.
Oh, we've had
yeah.
those where I'm
Yeah.
like, really? Okay.
It's so interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, I forget about so much of this stuff that thank goodness for the internet. I can go back and
Yeah, yeah,
look
yeah.
things up. But I forget about a lot of the stuff that
The
I've done.
hijinks.
I think just because that's how you serve. Like the majority of our job is auditioning for things. Like that's, if you're lucky,
guess
that's
that's true,
90%
right?
of what
It's
you're
so
doing. And if
true,
the 10% is the actual work, like those are good odds. Like that's
Yeah.
great. That's great. You're doing great. So yeah.
And the process has changed so much over between pre and post COVID, between going in and auditioning for clients and now just kind of getting a breakdown and us trying to make that analogy on our own term as to what is wanted.
Yeah. I mean, I guess to put it in perspective, it would be someone saying, hey, remember that day at work 20 years ago? What was the funny joke that the person told at the water cooler?
Yeah.
True.
I know there was one.
Yeah.
I
There was
just don't remember what it was.
Something about a
Remember
sausage.
what it
yeah.
was?
Yeah, usually you're in the moment too, right? So there's like funny things that are happening. There are the stories that are like as old as time, where people are like having to do stunt belches on
Yeah.
the
Oh,
microphone.
the Gary Johnson.
Supposedly.
Yeah, people having to take shirts off because they're too loud.
Yeah.
in front
Pants
of the
off because they
mic.
just
Or pants.
because
Yeah.
you're Jason Simpson.
Yeah. You're a little loud today. Do you mind
Yeah.
getting
Taking your pants off because your pants are
He just
whatever.
these are shorts are riding up. I'm taking them off.
Okay.
Yeah, that was that. I did my darndest. I tried to all page every female in the building to come in. I couldn't get anything. And finally, like, please, can you come down? Just come down. Trying to humiliate. Yeah, didn't work.
We've definitely hazed some new engineers.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Well, here's something we can talk about. This is
Yeah.
fun. So, like, when a new engineer comes to work at Ocean, Carl's favorite thing to do is to get whoever's in the booth to pretend to be just an absolute monster diva.
It's awesome.
So that the engineer, it's like their first day, they're nervous, they're like
Yeah.
figuring everything out, and so comes in and is just horrible.
Yeah, we had you be a real, like, we did it, a real diva too.
Can you control these cans?
Yeah.
Give me some level for kind
Yeah, just complaining about everything and just being really difficult to work with.
And the
But-
weird thing is, even though I'm the one to precipitate it, I get stressed out. It's so uncomfortable because you guys are so
It's
good.
so stressful when you're asking
It's
a bunch of
awesome.
actors to like pretend to
Yeah,
to be
jerks.
divas.
It's great.
Yeah. I remember that. I remember that was great.
Yeah, I've done a few of those with you, which are fun. And I have very little, like, my threshold is super low, where it's like after like 2 minutes, I'm like, okay,
Yeah, you got it.
I gotta stop. I gotta.
Yeah,
break.
Kelly's not hard to work with.
Hey, Cal, here's a question for you. Of which main 6 ponies would you have liked to play had you got it?
Oh, well, that's hard to say because obviously who they cast was so phenomenal.
It's a tough one, isn't it? When someone throws that one at you. It's like, so who would you like to bump out of the cast? Given the chance you could. Now's your chance.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't mind taking down. Yeah.
I don't know. Well, they're all so different.
One of the villains?
I think Andrea has probably the most fun in the room. I can like she plays 2 characters who are polar opposites of each other. But I think Pinky would probably be pretty fun to play.
Okay.
But I could never do it justice.
Can you say hi to David in Mystique Sonia's voice?
Guess what? Mystique Sonia's voice sounds exactly like my voice. So hi, David. Kablah!
Here's another question for you, Kelly. Mm-hmm. What's your favorite Barbie movie to watch of all the Barbie movies? If you were tied to a chair, it's like, you're watching one of these and it's now.
Maybe Princess and the Pauper, because it's a musical, so that's fun. Martin Short's the bad guy in that one, so he's great.
Wow.
It's funny, I've been in a lot of movies with a lot of famous people, but Tim Curry's the only one I've actually met.
Oh,
All the
yeah,
others are,
yeah.
so here's an example of a scratch track. They would hire someone to do a scratch track for Martin Short or
Right.
Catherine O'Hara or whatever icon they get to play a bad guy. So we would record with someone local in the room, and then later Martin Short would do it, or
That's cool.
whoever it is.
Yeah,
Someone's asking if you miss playing the role, Barbie.
Sure, sometimes, but I also think, like, I couldn't play her who she is now. Like, you know, they've moved on and cast other people, and I think they do a far better job playing her who she is now than I would be able to play her, which is why they cast those people. So,
Interesting.
like, sometimes, but
Interesting.
also you just, I don't know, like, I had my day.
Mm-hmm.
And I still get
And
to
what
talk.
a day. Holy cow.
Yeah,
a good day.
a long time, wasn't it?
So I still get to talk to people who...
Love
The
those.
fun thing is
Yeah.
talking to people who like Barbie movies and watch them. Like, that's how...
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense.
That's how she's present in
Yeah,
my life
yeah.
now. But I guess sometimes. But I don't know. Then I get to do other stuff, and that's fun. You can't really be too precious about things as an actor. You have to let stuff go. Cause...
Do you remember much about Jane from Black Lagoon?
Someone's favorite role.
Greenback Jane. So any character you get to play on Black Lagoon is going to be a great time because they're all hugely morally compromised.
Yeah, yeah.
So she was like a money launderer. The thing I remember, I was only in a couple of episodes, 2 or 3. But the thing I remember about that character is that she spoke like rapid fire, and I had a lot of like technical language I had to get to.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
from what I remember,
yeah.
the premise was they had like a machine that printed money, and there's all this like lingo and stuff. Yeah.
I think of all the shows that have happened sort of art Ocean at our studio. That's the one most I didn't even know about it until it was sort of underway. It's like, oh, that's a show I'm not directing. Like, oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. Oh man, I want to be directing that.
Yeah.
Damn it!
So much
course,
swearing.
right?
I know. I want to make people swear.
Yeah.
And actually have it be a keeper.
Keep it real.
Intentional.
Yeah, exactly.
Kelly and Brian, is there any specific way you guys like to be directed? And Carl, what is your process when directing new or veteran actors?
Oh man.
I like to be directed in an environment where laughs are allowed and it's open, and I like to just have a clear, concise idea of what's going on in the moment so I can deliver that. Really, it's, I mean, if those basic factors are there, odds are it's going to be a good day.
Yeah. I don't know if I can even expand on that. It's nice. Sometimes you're in sessions when there's a bunch of people in the room. There is a voice director, but there's also a client and a producer and an animation director and a whole bunch of cooks in the kitchen.
The director becomes more of a mediator to funnel those up.
I've been on
Well
shows
said.
where the voice director is literally just pushing the button.
In there.
You know, and everybody else is
In
kind of...
there.
And so that is okay when everyone's on the same page, but guess what? Usually they're not all on the same page.
No, and you're kind of like a number then, and you're just kind of like, okay, number 47, can't be louder.
Or sometimes you're trying to please two people who have very different ideas of what
Oh,
characters should sound
that's
like.
a
big one.
That's really
Trying to
challenging. So it's nice when there's one person in charge and they have a really clear idea of what they
That's
want.
how
Isn't that
That's
weird when you
actually-
sometimes you'll be like online with and there'll be some guy driving in LA on
Yeah.
401, and there's some guy that's in a studio, another guy is at some flower shop, and they're all trying to chime in with their ideas on the
Yeah.
fly of something that is just a cacophony of madness. It seems it's like,
think-
can we narrow this down to one opinion?
Yeah.
I think one of the best experiences I've ever had as a director in that respect was a show we didn't. I don't know if it ever got released. It was crap. What was it called now? Doesn't matter, barely. But we had the writers on the line, and they were the sort of story editors, husband and wife team, and they were like the nicest people ever, and they knew their shit. They were so on it. Any input they had was so helpful and creative, and they were just. But when we did something, we took chances. They like, oh yeah, and encourage that.
They let
I
you
love
do
it.
It was
that.
such a great experience.
Of course, yeah.
And let the actors, let me, the director, but the actors especially, gave them license to try things and make it.
It helps
funny.
things flourish. I think it really
Yeah, yeah.
does. You know.
What's your process
Cosmic
for directing?
Quantum Ray. Cosmic Quantum
good
Ray.
name.
Yeah.
That never got released.
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Love the title.
Yeah,
Good title.
it was a fun show.
Evocative.
Mm-hmm.
What's your process for directing like new people? Because that's got to be.
Yeah,
It's a good question, yeah.
Honestly, it depends because I find as a director, how I direct one person is not the same as you direct somebody else. Like maybe how I work with you, different than how I work with you. Just this, what you feel you need to say to get there, or to what you know. Let's punch in here and let's just run the whole thing again. Like what is the best process?
Yeah.
You sort of learn. There's a certain shorthand with every actor. So with a new person, you got to figure out what works best for them. Like say, and this isn't necessarily the case, but maybe for you, you give a read and it's like, Kate, I want you to just give me that again, but just way louder, just belt it, and then you get like 20% louder, which I know is not true, but just using it as an example. But say for you, it's like, okay, why don't you just go same again, just a tiny bit louder, and you go whoa because you're just wider swings maybe than you, or it really. And you got to figure that out with each person. So it's
Totally.
but it's also trying to be supportive with a new person, because there's no point in yelling at somebody or something stupid like that. You want to sort of nurture and get the best out of them and have them feel they can in a safe place to be creative.
That's
So
never
it's
understood
trying to
directors, you
figure
know?
out what's best for that person,
Yeah.
and that can be a bit of a dance.
So finding that comfort zone, right? It shocks me when you work with a director that, as you say, brings something curt to the table.
I
Because
think
it's just like, what are you trying to do
they
here?
exist. They exist.
Well, they certainly do. I could name some names. I'm not going to.
There was a certain guy. He wasn't a director. He was a producer, but he was up for the auditions. Weirdly, this is many years ago. And I remember him saying, we were doing an audition, and his response was, "That was shit. What else you got?"
Oh.
I wonder if we're thinking about
Is
the
he
same
from
guy
LA?
here.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know
There's a certain
yeah.
vibe to LA.
There was
LA
a certain
peeps.
individual that directed out of Vancouver where, yeah, he would say stuff like that, and then
Really?
if you didn't pull it back in the second take, he would just ask you to leave without having anything laid down.
Really?
In the voice print. Yes.
Yeah, I think I'm not.
I'm good friends with him
No,
now.
you're
Like
not
I
that
know
person.
him.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
all know him. We all definitely know him. But
Okay.
he had a very harsh reputation early in the day, and now there's a revival. I'm hearing he's doing shows again, so it's interesting.
Yeah, I
Not trying to
mean,
figure out who it is.
Ah! Sorry for that. I'm sorry.
it also means
We
to
don't wanna
develop
drag-
a thick skin as an actor. I think there's
Yes,
Yeah.
big time.
but there's also a line that's professionalism too, where like you have to treat people with courtesy.
Absolutely.
And I find there's
It
no.
doesn't really cost you anything to be courteous to that person for an extra couple of seconds. Even if you know, like, okay, this is not like the person we're looking for this thing. Like, it costs you nothing to do that. So,
And there's absolutely no reason to like. No, it doesn't serve anything to browbeat a new person
no.
because you're not going to. They're going to climb up. Because of course you would.
Yeah.
You know, even an experienced person, that's not going to help. But they're may be able to just sort of like ignore it and push through. But yeah, so I think just being supportive and trying to figure out what works best for them. Like, let's watch it again to see try this. Just don't even think about it, or tweaking the line, rewriting it to make it a little bit more comfortable rather than forcing a read.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
Good idea.
Maybe
Yeah, I guess in depending on the situation. But
yeah.
now I know we've been holding you here for a long time.
Captive.
Yeah.
I thought we were originally going to go to 1, but it's 1:35 right now. How are we doing on time for everybody? Are we
Any final questions? Any like?
One more. That's
there's a lot here.
I know.
We are so
Can't
sorry
get
for
them all.
those that I know
The
there's
most
a lot.
recent one, Kelly. How did you become a voice actor? It's very.
This is a great question.
Yeah.
I was a kid and I did community theater, and the woman that ran the theater also ran an agency for young people. So all of the people she represented were kids, and so she would send me auditions for stuff. And one of the auditions I went in for was a voiceover audition, and it was actually at Ocean, and I was in the studio reading. I don't even remember what it was. I was reading for something, and the director from a different show happened to be kind of walking through the studio and was like, "Oh, we actually need a kid for something we're doing next week, like a guest spot on something." And so I didn't get the job I went in to audition for. I got the job that the director happened to overhear me.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so that was my first gig, and then there weren't a lot of it was a new industry in Vancouver then,
Yeah.
something years ago, and there weren't a lot of young people doing it, and so the pool is very small, and
Yeah. It's true.
I
there
was
were-
okay at it, and I don't know. Then you just sort of
You're being.
build a career
You're
from
being,
there. So.
You're being, what's the word? She was great at it. when I started, you were like a pro. I mean, you were great.
I was a precocious kid.
She was.
But
I
she had
needed
free
an
theater
outlet.
training, so I mean, you got to step into.
That
this
is
with
one
a
of the
little
best things I can recommend for someone who
Me
wants
too.
to become a voice. That's theater
because that's
training,
all my background.
improv training.
Yep.
Well, man, that'll stand you
Yeah,
in such.
I worked
good
with improv troops in theater for a good 5 or 6 years before I got into doing voiceover work. So
Huge.
it was definitely a help.
Yeah, you're playing different characters all the time.
Yeah.
You're learning to pivot and make choices and
Think on your
change your
feet.
mind and think on your feet.
That's the thing about voice is
Be
you have to
responsive.
make changes on the spot.
And
Yeah.
you have to be ready
Even
for
if
that.
even prelay for absolutely, but even ADR, you've got to
Oh, sure.
you've got to be no, that didn't fit. You got to adjust your read to make it work on after the third beat, like now,
Yeah,
and sound good. Not sound like you're forcing it because that's
yeah. Oh, and by the way, at the end of the session, we've got this incidental character. It's
Yeah.
3 lines.
Exactly. What do you got?
You need to make it sound different than the thing you just did.
Yeah.
Can you help us out? It's like,
Yeah,
oh, okay,
go.
this.
And it's an hour never, right? If you either pull that monkey out or you don't. And if you do, ka-ching.
Yeah.
It's better. More better for you.
It's also just being too stupid to be afraid. You're just like, okay,
Yeah,
I'll try
but
that. You
that's
can't
totally-
be embarrassed.
totally.
You can't be afraid to do a thing. You
Yeah.
just have to
I think that's called courage.
yes.
Look at that. You just got that was Paul Quinn, right? Who gave you your first gig. I can't believe
That
it.
was,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I haven't heard
Okay.
Paul Quinn's name mentioned.
Yeah,
Oh my
it
gosh.
was
that
Captain
name.
Zed in the Dream Team or something. Was that? Were you an engineer at Ocean?
No, it's
during that
before
time?
my time.
Yeah. Yeah. So there was always a kid of the week. It was this superhero team who would go into kids' dreams and help them with their problems. And so whatever kid of the week would be having a dream about something. So I was the kid of the week.
Here's a question that I'm not even going to try and read out, but I'll let you just see if you want to field that because it's.
Kelly, would Sango and Moroku, Teresa and Jay triple date with Ariel and Eric, Belle and Beast, Aladdin and Jasmine, or Hercules and Meg? So which Disney couple
Wow.
would Sango and Moroku, Teresa and Jay triple date with?
That's a big question.
What are my options?
I don't know. What was the-
Hold on, now it's scrolled. I don't know. I think Hercules and Meg would probably be pretty fun on a triple date. Meg seems like she would probably have the most fun of all those people. So that's what I'm gonna go. That's what I'm gonna go with.
Everyone's asking if you give a warm goodbye as Starlight to
warm
every
goodbye?
pony.
Sure. To every creature. Thanks, every pony, every creature, everyone, for joining us today from Starlight Glimmer here at the School of Friendship. And it's been an awesome afternoon.
That's been
It's
fun.
been pretty fun,
Thank you
huh?
so much for having me.
Thanks, Giovanni, for your
Come
little
back.
thing there too. Thank you. You just wanted,
Anytime.
yeah. What else we got here? Anything else we want to cap off with, Kenny? Or
I'll just give one last look at the store, see if there's any VIP prints in there that I don't think there are. But just in case, no, looks good.
yeah, one last little shout there, but
From Dragonball Z. Gohan, you want to know who Vidal's Pops is? You'll be surprised. She's the daughter of the one and only Hercule. I have no idea what that means. I also didn't have glasses on, so I was like barely able to read it. My old lady specs. Okay, on that completely anticlimactic note.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
wow, yeah, this is amazing questions, great turnout,
Yeah.
and thanks everybody.
Yeah,
Like,
thank you
really.
very much.
Yeah. Send your warm healing thoughts to Saffron. We
Yes.
miss you, Saff.
Yeah,
Feel better soon.
lots of love, Saf, and get well. We'll have you back on the next one for sure, and we'll be back sooner than you know it. So we'll announce our next date coming up fairly soon. And thanks for joining us on the Anime Time Machine.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you, Kelly Sheridan.
Thank you very much.
Back in
Mwah.
time.
Wonderful, wonderful. See everybody.